listening to the Agent Survival Guide podcast, a podcast for today's insurance agents. Informing, educating, empowering, improving the way you do business in an industry that's anything but static. In today's episode, we are talking about a rule that you've likely heard more than a few times growing up. But there is a reason for that. In a world full of customization, putting others first might not sound like a radical idea, but it can have some very powerful results. At least, that's what Scott Zimmerman has found. That's just one of many things we talked about during his interview.
Scott, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, Scott, one of the things we really like to do is I like to get origin stories because I feel like we all have a different story of sort of how we got into the industry. How did you get your start?
So how I got started, what actually happened is my father co-signed for my very first car. Like I got my very first car, I was 19 years old. And I just remember coming home. I didn't come from a lot of money. It was always tight in my household, always tight. But I was working. He co-signed for this car loan. And I just remember coming home and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, if something happens to me, my parents are going to be stuck with this car payment. By the way, not a fancy car. I don't even know if you know what this car was. It was a Suzuki Samurai. This was like cool for about 1 week. And that's the week I bought it. It was not a good car. But anyway, he signed for this car, and I just remember coming back thinking, if something happens to me, they're going to be stuck with this car, but they're not going to be able to afford it. And it wasn't anything expensive. So I went to a friend of mine who was in the insurance business, and I bought a very small life insurance policy. So if something happened to me, my parents would have money to pay off this junk car. But anyway, I don't know how I thought this way, but that's what I did. So then the following year, I was in college, and I was in a finance course, and the instructor was talking about retirement plan, putting money away for long term. And at the time, we talked about an IRA. If you put away X amount of dollars, you'll have $1 million. So I went to the same friend of mine, and I said, can you help me with this IRA idea? And he helped me. It wasn't a lot of money I started with. It was like $25 or $30 a month. But he said to me, hey, you obviously believe in this business. You're like 2 years in a row buying some of my products. You should check this out when you're done with school. So we got an interview. Father ran the agency, and it was straight commission. And they hired me, of course. That's how I got started.
That is very interesting. So I've heard of the Volkswagen thing. Can't say that I have ever heard of the Samurai, but that's okay. But I do find it really interesting that at 19 years old, you had that prescience of mind to really be thinking long-term about your future. Because I got to say, when I was 19, that was not what I was thinking about. I think most of us at 19 were kind of living like there wasn't a tomorrow. I find that very interesting that that was the thought going through your mind. Let's kind of move on to, obviously, your area of focus. You mentioned it a little bit and mentioned how you kind of came into that specific area. Did you always know that you wanted to get into kind of the life insurance space, or did it just kind of happen from this conversation that you had?
I don't remember why. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My parents, The reason I probably thought that way, it was my household was always scarcity. Money was always a topic, and it was not a good topic. Like it was always them not having it, figuring out how to do things. And I just grew up that way. So I think that maybe was in my mind thinking I'm going to set them up for more disaster if something happens to me. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. In college, I was just doing sales jobs. I used to sell alarm systems. I knew I wanted to do something where I could make my own money. My friend recommended I look into it. I just remember the interview. His father said, you can make this much money. I just remember losing my breath. Like I was 22 and I actually got started in insurance. I just couldn't believe my mind what I was hearing. And by the way, when I started, I didn't do well for many, many, many years, like 3 years, 4 years before I really figured it out. But it was a long haul. It was a very long haul.
Right. Well, I think that's important to mention because I think there are a lot of people who almost think that when they either get into the business or they kind of put out that front that, yes, you can do well, you can make a lot of money, but it is more so a long-term journey. It is a career rather than just a job that you do that you just, immediately you get a paycheck and that's going to be a constant thing. So I'm curious then how that kind of plays into the advice that you might have for someone just starting out today, because obviously you've got a lot of experience. You've been in the industry. What would you tell someone just starting out today?
Going into it, I think I went in for the wrong reasons. 22 years old to make money. And yes, we're all working to make money. What I would tell somebody going into this business, I have a lot of young people reaching out. This is my 35th year I'm starting. And I get a lot of people reaching out to me, clients, kids, my own friends' kids, like they think, oh my gosh, you drive a nice car, you have a nice house. This is maybe their child should go into. But what changed my mind was not thinking about the money, thinking about realizing maybe a few years in, it's about helping out, doing the right thing for people. Our products are amazing, right? So it's just finding the right product, always doing the right thing, not about how much money I'm going to make or looking at the commission. Once I flipped that, that's when really almost everything changed. It's like, how can I help? And when you get older, you get a little more experience, it gets a little easier. But yeah, I think in the beginning, it's all about telling everybody what I do and how can I make a sale. And then that kind of changed about 4 years into it, realizing that's not how it works.
Right, right. I've heard that from a lot of people as they're talking just about their experience in the industry, that is the one benefit that they get out of it, is the fact that at the end of the day, you can feel really good knowing that you're helping someone in some way, whether it's the beneficiary or whether it's the family that beneficiary is leaving behind. Is your advice different for somebody who is more seasoned, who is currently maybe has been doing this for 5 or 10 years? What would you say to that person and how could they elevate what they're currently doing?
I have different thoughts. Okay, so my thought is on that. I have had a lot of people reach out to me who've been in the business a long time, 5, 10 years, and they're doing it part-time. They're still trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I learned from actually my business partner is when you look out for other people before yourself, it's amazing what happens. When I go into a meeting, whether it's a center of influence, somebody's going to refer, I can feel that we can refer each other business, financial planners or estate planning attorneys or CPAs. I'm always looking out for them first. Like my question usually is like, what kind of client are you looking for most? What's a good fit for you? Just asking clarifying questions for me, because I deal with so many people. How can I give them business first? I find when I do that, asking those questions, thinking about the other people first, I get more in return by doing that. I'm always thinking about others first. And I think it's a mind shift to the other people you're talking to, not only talking about yourself, but them. If I believe that there's a relationship there, I always do try and give. It comes back tenfold. I've heard that a zillion times growing up. Hey, what you give comes back tenfold. I really do believe it. I really do. It's not like one of those myths or sayings, like, so I think that's what I would say for people who've been in the business a little bit longer, changing the mind shift.
And that's something, to be quite honest, you can use that type of mindset as you're meeting, not just with affinity partners or potential partners, but your clients as well, to establish that relationship with them and kind of think relationship first. And then, the business aspect of it second.
I think you just said it, relationship first. Yeah, we're on the same page there. I will say, and I mentioned my business partner. I've had the same business partner for 25, 26 years. And he's been in the business a little bit longer than I have. So I'm 35. He's maybe 40th, 41st year. Wow. He always thinks of everybody first. Still to this day, it's what can I do for you? Little things. And he's very successful. But he really cares. And I do too. It's like, I think people realize that you're authentic, you're real. And I think, that helps a lot too.
Yeah, that does help. So that all being said, is there a specific mindset or mantra that you live by or that you try to kind of hold yourself to when you're doing business?
Far from perfect, but I always try and do the right thing. I never look at commissions, as I said before. I'm always looking, this is a need this client needs, fulfilling a need. And what's interesting about what you and I do, it's, gosh, I could think and you could think like, this person really needs what we have. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. This is give them peace of mind, all the things that they're concerned about. But They're always going to buy or invest into our things when they're ready to do it, not when I'm ready for them to do it. So it's always their choice. Even though we know, oh my gosh, this is perfect, or they know it is, they'll buy when they're ready. Right. So my mantra, going back to that, I've been thinking this way a long time. Nobody's giving you anything, nothing free in life. So I always say to myself, it's up to me. No one's rescuing me. No one's giving to me. It's always going to be up to me to do whatever I need to do to take care of business, life, whatever it is.
I think that's a good mantra because quite honestly, you do have to have self-motivation in this industry. You have to be willing to want to get out there and want to talk to people. You've got to figure out ways to get in front of people. And like you said, there's not a magical lead fairy out there waving her wand around. It'd be great if there were, but there's really not. Is there anything recently that you have read or watched or listened to that you have found particularly insightful or beneficial to the work that you do?
So a book that I really like is What's in It for Them by Joe Polish. I personally know Joe. I probably would never have picked this up. I'm in a mastermind group that he runs. So I got his book, and actually my partner and I bought about 100 of them to give out during Christmas last year to give out to our clients. It's a really powerful book. It's what I said before. It's like, what's in it for them? Always looking for the other person first. But the book really details out what you should be looking for, how to do it, different ways that you think of somebody first before yourself, and how by doing this, how it will affect your life in return. So I think it's a really powerful book. It's an easy read. The person who wrote it is super smart. He's one of the smartest business guys that I know, one of the most connected men I know. I think anybody, if they read that book, would get a lot out of it. It just changes, again, your mindset. Just like, I never thought of it that way. I wish somebody would have told me that. And this book spells it out. And the book's like $15. You know what I mean? So many great, amazing books out there, or things you can learn that are so inexpensive, that have just so much information that can really change people's lives.
Interesting, because I think there are some people that just naturally do that really, really well. You know, they're detail oriented. They pick up on those little things and they're really good. Like my husband is fantastic at this. And I do have to confess, for me, it is a little more work to, just write down like the notes and like make sure that I'm thinking of those things consciously and having it at the forefront of my mind. So I think for those of us who maybe aren't so good at that naturally, but we want to be good at that naturally, that honestly sounds like a great read, to be quite honest. Scott, do you have anything going on right now, business-wise, anything like that you would like to shout out here on the show?
What I think about a lot when it comes to our business is a few things. One is I think everybody's really interested in hearing about and talking about long-term care. I think the care, so many people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they see their parents needing it, their grandparents needing it. It's really important. A lot of people talk about it. Not a lot of people actually buy it because it can be expensive. But nowadays, there's so many amazing plans that can be affordable. And it's not like you're spending money that you're never going to get it back. The money's going to come back to your family with some of our products, or it's going to come back somehow. So it's not a waste of money. That's one thing that I think people should really be thinking about. Number two is when it comes to insurance, life insurance, there's so many people out there that have bought policies 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Maybe they bought it from somebody just like me, where they showed them a piece of paper that said, hey, the insurance company put this out, if you put this much money in, this is what's going to happen. And insurance companies have lowered interest rates sometimes or raised expenses inside the policy, and they've never told their clients. They've never told the people paying the premiums. And these policies are falling apart. So it's really, really, really important to do an audit of policies that you have. Make sure they're safe. Figure out a way to fix them, because there's lots of ways to fix it. Maybe she's adding more premium. But there's different things. So I really talk about doing a life insurance audit. Find it really important. The other thing that happens a lot that I find in these policies are the beneficiaries are wrong. Maybe someone's been divorced, or the beneficiary's passed away that's listed in there. A lot of people don't think about looking at these policies to make sure that they're going to be there when they need it most. So I do talk about that a lot. And it's not about making a sale. It's like making sure your policies are good. And because I do that, a lot of people come to me and they say, can you do an audit on the policy? I actually give them ways to do it themselves, but it's kind of complicated if you don't know what you're doing. Lots of ways to fix it. That's a huge topic that I talk about a lot. It's been really helpful for people.
Okay. Yeah, that's one thing that we talk about, doing audits on, the annual review for Medicare and things like that. I don't know that we have it ingrained as much in our mind that we need to be doing that really with all of our policies to make sure that, everything is as current as it possibly can be. I think there's a lot of value in that. And I would hope that our audience is listening, because I think you've certainly given us a lot to think about. Scott, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show here. Is there anything else that you would like to mention here today?
If anybody ever has any questions, want to discuss ideas, I'm more than willing to talk to anybody. My name is Scott Zimmerman. I'm scott@corpstrat.com, and reach out anytime.
All righty. Well, thank you so much. Again, it's been great having you.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Special thanks again to Scott Zimmerman for the interview. Don't forget to visit our episode notes for all the links to find and follow Scott online. Thanks for listening to this installment of the Agent Survival Guide podcast. We will see you next episode. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. Special thanks to our guest, Scott Zimmerman. Recording and production by me, Sarah Ruppel. Podcast designed by Urban Rivera. Artwork by Tina Lamoureux. Follow along with our show wherever you like to listen. Already following? Rate and review our show on Apple or Spotify.